is by far one of the greatest directors and producers of all times. His movies are more than entertaining. They are real and they cover issues a lot of African Americans face, but everyone can't see or grasp unless it's through a Spike Lee movie. For those who didn't see Spike Lee's 1989 classic Do the Right Thing, in a nutshell, it is about the hottest day in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and the hate and intolerance towards one another and their opinions, including stereotypes, boils over into violence. This is by far my favorite movie. In the first scene, Radio Raheem, played by Bill Nunn, he bumps into Pookie, played by Spike Lee, and they give a little handshake. And Pookie recognizes his rings, his four ring brass knuckles rings. One has love and the other one has hate. And he explains to Pookie what the definitions of the rings mean. That love and hate, they fight one another, but at the end of the day, love will always win and love will always conquer over hate. And the way he explains it is as like he's a boxer announcer and they're in a fight. Love and hate are actually in a fight. And at the end, like I said before, hate is KO'd by love. And this is the actual beginning of the movie. In the second scene, to start this off, you have all of this racism and hate within the community, and it boils over from. It starts off at South Pizzeria where Pookie works, and you just hear the stereotypes between all the races: blacks, Jews, Italians, whites, Koreans, and it just goes on and on and on. And this is by far one of the most powerful scenes in the beginning of the movie because you hear things that a lot of people will not put in movies, and you see things that a lot of people, or you hear things how people actually feel about one another. And this is kind of like reaching towards the climax, especially in the hottest day of Brooklyn. It's just so much contributing factors to the movie, the racism, the stereotypes, the bigotry. That's all influencing towards the epic violence that happens at the end of the movie with Pookie. And then you have Samuel L. Jackson when he comes in saying cut it out and he's trying to stop the violence. He's trying to create peace within Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And the third scene that we have here is at South Pizzeria where Radio Raheem comes up with his friends Bugging Out and Smiley, and they all have something against Radio Raheem. Bugging Out just hates the fact that there's no black people on the wall, on his wall of fame. There's only Italians, and Smiley's just coming along just to come along. And they're going back and forth with name calling, bugging out, demanding to put South put black people on his wall of fame instead of only Italians. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And then it just creates some kind of excitement. And this is when Radio Raheem's radios get smashed, and this is the climax. This creates the excitement of the night where Pookie eventually keeps control. And this part, like I said, it's the climax. It's actually getting towards the climax. It's getting closer and closer to Radio Raheem's death. And this is where the hottest day turns into the most violent day in Brooklyn. And this is all stemming over bigotry, racism, and stereotypes. And the way Spike Lee depicts all of these aspects in the movie just makes it amazing because you see all the anger, you see the passion, and you just wonder if this was to really go on, would Radio Raheem die? If they were to listen to Samuel L. Jackson, would Radio Raheem die? Will all this be going on? And I feel like the reasons why Smiley and Bugging Out and Radio Raheem got so passionate is because I feel like they thought that Sal treated them in a condescending manner where he thought that their problems were irrelevant, they were irrelevant, and their feelings didn't matter. And as you can see, This is when Radio Raheem's go crazy. This is when he goes ballistic because I feel like it's more than a radio. It's all about respect. And Radio Raheem felt disrespected just because he wanted to play his music, just because he wanted to be who he is, which is Radio Raheem. And Sal took that away from him by smashing his radio. He could have went and got another one, but it won't be the same. So as you can see, Pookie's getting frustrated because of what's going on. The fighting, it's the hottest day in Brooklyn. All of this building up. He gets upset and he gets a trash can. And with this trash can, he is going to put an end to Sal's. This is where he works. And I feel like this kind of symbolizes him wanting to put an end to the racism and the stereotypes and the bigotry and all of the factors that contributed to what happened today. All of this could have been avoided. And as you can see, the riot breaks out. And the riot breaking out, I feel like it's all of them getting together, wanting not to put an end to it really, but to show that this is what happens when you go crazy. This is what happens when you disrespect people. And they continue to ride out, and the police come eventually to break it up, and Radio Raheem dies. And this part of the movie makes it even not worse, but it kind of creates more of a passion to the movie because you get to feel more things, you get to realize more things, and you get to understand why people are so angry and feel the way they feel and why they're reacting the way they're reacting. To me, stereotype and racism is like a big thing, and it shouldn't be taken lightly and it shouldn't be ignored, but it shouldn't be handled in a volatile manner. And the fire alone, the trash can alone, Radio's Raheem death is just more than contributing to what is going on. And it shouldn't have been handled that way. And I feel like that's what makes me like the movie even more, that Spike Lee took it a step further other than being racist and being stereotypical and being volatile. He took it to a point where it's like this is just what happened, and it kind of foresees the riot in LA after Rodney King, and this kind of relates to it. Who could ever thought that a years later, Radio Rodney King would be the next Radio Raheem? Except that Rodney King lives and Radio Raheem dies. And I love this movie. This movie it does so much, and it's very hard to find someone that can depict so much in a movie and not play it safe.